It's your girl DJ Cha Cha Diva, and I'm here with
Lyric the Luxurious, baby, and we're here with the T. Let's do it.
Let's Go. Yes, Feel Goodies, we're here for a very special episode of the Feel Good Friday Live. We're here on a Friday. Give it up for yourselves. Yes,
Yes.
we've missed you so much. Well, this very special episode, we're going to be talking about something very near and dear to our hearts. I'm sure you guys have all seen the stories all over social media, all over the television, all over the newspapers. Honey, we are talking about none other than Mrs. Wendy Williams. Lyric, what do you think about all of this?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. It's a lot to, take in. When you think of Wendy, you think of the Queen of New York, as it pertains to radio. You think about, relentless. You think about raunchy, and she's going to tell you what it is and how it is, anytime and every time. But what is so flooring is to see her in the condition that she's in on this documentary. I mean, I honestly have no words. It's a sensitive matter, especially for a family.
Yeah.
And so I want to be super intentional and respectful about everything that I say. But to answer your question, how do I feel about it? I really feel that there are a lot of people responsible, for her demise. And that's very obvious from what we saw, this previous weekend. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I totally agree with your sentiments. For me, this is somewhat personal. You know what I'm saying? Just having grown up in New York and having seen Wendy on her journey throughout her career. The younger generation really doesn't know Wendy, I would say, the way that we know Wendy, the 30s and
Mhm.
up, 40s and up know Wendy, because she was a pinnacle staple in our upbringing and in our childhood because of Hot 97. We listened to Wendy on the radio. This is long before she had her show, long before many people knew her, but she was a
Right.
celebrity in her own right. And just to see her go down the way that she has, it has been extremely disheartening. So what I would like to do is to talk to our audience a little bit about Wendy's beginnings, the Wendy that I knew, the Wendy that you knew, the Wendy that many of our viewers probably knew, and then just kind of fast forward to what the hell is going on. Okay. So, yes, Wendy got her beginnings on the radio as a very, very popular radio show host. Radio was so different than what it is now. And I think that you can attest to that as well in terms of how radio was a big focal point of entertainment. This is before social media.
And yeah, and also because we got involved in the conversation, regardless if you were walking with a Walkman and you happened to be tuned into the radio, and there was a specific daytime playlist that would always come on when you're getting ready for school. And then you were, interested in the conversation, from
Yes.
the DJ and the host. That's why I love radio so much. I love podcasting, and because it leaves so much to the imagination. You wonder who's on the other side of the mic, you know, um, especially in times when we were growing up, because you couldn't just Google someone and they
Mhm.
pop up. You had to literally physically see them at an event that you went to, and things of that nature. So yeah, radio has changed. And I think it's important for people like us with our platform to keep radio alive to
Yeah.
honor people like Wendy, for sure.
No, I absolutely agree. Radio was more than just music. To your
Yeah,
point, they engaged us in a
conversation.
conversation.
Hmm.
And you can't talk radio, you can't specifically talk New York radio without
Hmm.
mentioning Williams' name. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there, and we'll be completely transparent. Feel Goodies, we talk a lot of shit on this show
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, we're always going to give Wendy her respect and always give her her
Absolutely.
props, because without her, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So we definitely want to say that first and foremost coming out the gate. Now, to this Lifetime special that just aired this past weekend. Where is Wendy Williams? That's the name of the program. And I don't even have the words to describe the feeling that I had when I saw what I saw. I mean, just look at the picture that we have on the screen. Vivacious Wendy on the top of her game, doing her show, to a very beautiful, but obviously aged and tired Wendy that we see here in the platinum blonde wig.
But you know what? She really does still look beautiful in this photo.
She
I
does.
think, it was just like to see because, whenever she announced that she was battling Graves' disease, and, we all need to bring some awareness around that disease because it does change your physical, you know, um,
Appearance.
yeah, appearance. And it's kind of hard for the person going through it and the people around them because you don't want to stare. And but I'm gonna just be honest with you, child. I was staring. I was just like, yo, what
What is happening?
what have they
Yeah.
given Wendy? Because mind you, and it felt almost like a tactic, like they knew that this was about to air, this documentary. And then days prior to that, they released that Wendy has been diagnosed with dementia and asphasia. And I really feel like that was so convenient, for people to tune into this documentary. I really felt like it was a tactic to generate money to hopefully take care of her. You know what I mean? That's my
No,
biggest thing. But I don't feel that, that's what it is. I really don't. Honestly, I really feel like when it comes to talent, when talent can't give you, what they once gave you, I'm not making, and it may be serious, and look, don't come for me, but I'm just going to, let you know how I feel. I really feel like when you don't have anything to offer, anymore, and you're experiencing a lot of health issues and you're in the entertainment industry, a lot of times you're written off no matter if you're 30, 40, 50, or 60. And then you have some addiction and some illness that you can't get rid of. And then it's, oh, poor Wendy Williams. But how many people around her really took the time to say, how you doing, Wendy? You know what I mean?
mhm.
And really mean it. So it's just crazy to me.
No, you're absolutely right. And I want to address something that you said, which is all of our hopes. Hopefully, them putting this business out on Front Street is for the purpose of her well-being and taking care of her. But I'm sure you can agree that is not what I saw
No.
watching this documentary. I see a woman who is broken, who is confused, who is demonstrating the primary signs of dementia with the mood swings and lashing out at people and not remembering what took place. And what I also see is a woman who is surrounded by a group of enablers, people that
Greedy individuals,
greedy
money
individuals.
hungry individuals that honestly, and I hope this isn't completely true, but essentially care about her well being. And it's very much so obvious they really, in this documentary, when it was, being started to being recorded, and they started that journey. I look from what I can decipher, she thought it was going to be a podcast, surrounding her everyday life, almost kind of like a reality show, it felt like.
Yeah.
Because that's what I gathered just by watching her on screen. And it just really became like a slaughterhouse of her image, I felt. They showed her being super nasty to the people around her. They showed her, begging for alcohol. And I'm pretty sure there were so many other moments in that time that they were with her that they could have shed some light on, but they really made her look deranged, drunk,
Mm-hmm.
and incapable of making any decisions for herself.
Well, no, and the reality is they didn't make her look like anything. That's what they're dealing with. The problem is they shouldn't have recorded it to begin with. And I'm kind of torn because as a fan, I'm concerned and I want to know where she is. But
Mm-hmm.
that whole situation to me seems like a money grab, period.
Exactly. And when I say make her look a specific type of way, to your point, no, they can't control her actions and make her behave, but you do have um power when it comes to the camera and what it is that you record. And we all know Wendy was no Betty White.
Oh no.
But she definitely is a person. And I really feel like she needs to be represented in the utmost way when it comes to her mental health and her physical health. I really feel like she wouldn't want herself to be recorded like this in this
Well,
state.
no, and let's really talk about it and get down to it. At the end of the day, a person that is suffering with any form of mental illness or illness in general, where under normal circumstances, had she not had her celebrity, she wouldn't be working. She would be on disability.
I
So when
totally
you
agree.
are forcing a person that is not in a mental capacity to do a job and then expecting different results, it definitely comes across as by any means necessary to get my check. And we're going to
Right.
get into it about this staff because I didn't get at any point from specific members of her new team that they had Wendy's best interest at heart. Um, we're gonna have to like really deep dive
I'm
into this.
I straddle the fence with that because I did see Will making an effort. It I saw him making an effort. I saw Sean even making an effort. Yes, do I think that they had some, it was something in for them? Absolutely. I really feel that way. But I also feel that they had to care about her to some degree to spend that type of time with her. I don't really feel like it was all about the money with them. I
I
really don't feel that
disagree.
way.
Yeah, I'll spend all type of time with you if you
Yeah.
pay him. You know what I'm saying? And I did kind of waffle back and forth with Will because in the beginning he did appear to be very loving and caring. Where it took a turn is when she lay in the bed, passed out, obviously inebriated from whatever self-medicating she did, and he proceeded to shout at her to get up because of some appointment that they had that was business related. And my thing is, you're asking a person that's incapable of even communicating properly with family, friends, and loved ones to be available for a business venture that you know is going to fall through. So that was a red flag to me. The second
Was
thing
it
that was a red
business venture though? I know he said we have business to handle today, but did he specifically say it was a business venture? Because let's just be crystal clear, the lady didn't have any money. She had money, but she didn't have access to it.
Yeah,
So,
because
I
they
mean, what
have
did
access to
he
her
do?
money.
I don't.
They
He
have
wasn't the
access to her
guardian.
money.
He wasn't the guardian though.
He's not the guardian, but he's on the payroll. He doesn't know Wendy. These are not people that are familiar to her family. Her niece spoke
Mhm.
to that. These are strangers. So what
Then why isn't
stranger
her
is
niece
gonna?
there? That's one of my questions. Wendy doesn't come from a small family. Um, so if the family was to get involved, people would say it's the family that is trying to take her money and, do all these things. And then you hire strangers and then it's the strangers. So, I mean, at least, do it within the family and take
Well,
care of
that's
her.
exactly what happened theoretically, Lyric. Her son was initially her power of attorney. And what happened was the guardian, the powers that be, these mysterious people that nobody knows, including her family, um, dropped the dime and said that the son was ripping her off. But what he explained, which makes incredible sense, is prior to
Mhm.
them appointing this proxy to her, he had her with him in Florida. She's still Wendy. She still has expensive taste. She still wants to go to the best restaurant. She still
Of
wants to wear the
course.
best
And
clothes.
we don't
She didn't have,
expect anything less. And I'm
but
not
she didn't
disputing
have
any of
access to
that.
her funds. Her
I'm
son
not.
had access to the funds.
I don't think I'm disputing any of that. What I'm disputing is that you expect perfect. I mean, we expect perfect strangers, and we don't hold our family accountable. At the end of the day, these people were here because it was a job, and she needed someone to do it. whoever had power of attorney or had some type of, way of controlling things, they should have hired better people to be around her. Or do we know if Wendy personally hired these people?
That's the thing. Her family had no involvement. They don't know these people. They don't even know where she is at this point. It seems as if a person that has mental illness, that is not in the mental capability to take care of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
was making business decisions, and they allowed her to do that because everybody's getting paid. That's the only thing that makes sense. I think you can agree in seeing her family. She has a family. She has people that love her, that support her,
Yeah,
but
it
they
just couldn't be Wendy. Couldn't be my Wendy. You know what I mean? Because I would be there 10 toes down for her. And I really feel like when it comes to certain people, we do write them off, and I do not deny it that her family probably wrote her off in a
I
sense of
didn't get
not
that
wanting to deal with
sense.
her. You know?
I didn't really get that sense. I think that there are more powerful people involved that are legally
Hmm.
in a position to keep her family at bay. It's very
Yeah.
different than it would be if it were me that was suffering and you, as my brother, wanted to step in. Nobody
Hmm.
around me is going to prevent that from happening. But what the status of celebrity that she has, unfortunately, that made it very easy for people on the outside to come
I had
in,
access to
and
her, and that's really sad.
it's awful. So speaking of this staff, again, especially this young lady, Sean, this assistant that no one in her family seems to know where she came from. Um, that's the team enabler there. So there was a scene where she took Wendy to NBC Studios to
Yeah, I want to
allegedly
whoop her
audition
butt on that one.
for a podcast that was never going to happen, that she knew wasn't going to happen, but yet she allowed Wendy to go into this place and make a complete fool of herself after taking her out for drinks and dinner on Wendy's dime while driving a car that Wendy rented with her money. Um,
Hmm.
to me, it just seems like they will do whatever they need to do to convince her that they're doing work, knowing what the outcome's going to be, for the sole purpose of continuing to gain from her monetarily. That was my outlook on this whole situation with her team. Um, what was your take on the exchange between she and Sean, which is this young lady here with the curly hair, the makeup artist, and then the manager, Will, shown there in the red?
Again, where's your family? I'm sorry. I just stand on that. Like, my family wouldn't allow, me to go through those type of things. I hope not anyway. But again, this is Wendy Williams. She had a very controversial life. And she had a demise. She had a lot of things that transpired around her and with her. And, there's like literally a timeline of how she literally just crumbled right in front of all of us. In September 2017, her husband was accused of a long-term affair. You know what I mean? And that happened. It was super public. She was all in the headlines. People were talking about it. It was a lot to deal with. I'm pretty sure she had some very dark moments, which probably led her to, abuse a substance and, just be completely irrational and not make good decisions. And then after that, the infamous fallout on the stage in October of 2017. See, these are things where they should have been like, Wendy, how you doing? You know what I mean? Because there are red
Yeah.
flags everywhere. She announced a health diagnosis shortly thereafter and went on a 3-week hiatus from her show. That was something else that should have been talked about. So again, my thing is, where was the family in all of this? You know what I mean? I just don't understand that. It's very hard for me to understand. And now we're, so quick to say these people around her were, you know, not treating her fairly, and it was all about the money. Where is the family then? It
Well,
shouldn't be a
putting it
if we're saying that they're strangers, it shouldn't be a stranger's responsibility to take care of someone that has family.
putting it into perspective, though, although we love Wendy, we understand that she has these illnesses. Wendy is also an addict, and that is clear in the conversations that were had during that Lifetime documentary.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, anytime she mentioned a family member, we'll use her son as an example, or her sister, it was always followed by, well, so and so doesn't like the fact that I love alcohol. So that's that.
Of
So what I
course.
take that as is she will do whatever she has to do to maintain her addiction, including pushing away her own son and her family that is ready and willing to be there for her. And unfortunately, now she's in a scenario where she would like to have access to her money and be free
Yeah.
to live in the celebrity status that she worked so hard to build. But at this point, she's in a bad situation. There are parties
Yeah.
involved that don't have her best interest at heart, that are only financially motivated because they don't have any direct relationship with her outside of
Mm-hmm.
being caregivers appointed by the court.
Yeah.
It's a very scary situation.
I guess I'm just thinking more so with my heart. And I know there were family members that hadn't seen her in a long time, but they were able to film. They were able to film. They filmed this with her. They had confessionals where they sat in front of a green screen and they talked. And I think that my main thing is if I walked in a house and I had to put myself in this situation, because I think about it on both sides. If
Yeah.
I was in a situation and I walked in and my aunt, right, was sitting on a sofa looking completely helpless, and I asked them to remove someone in there that has absolutely nothing to do with my family other than the fact she was hired to be around her,
Mhm.
I would also have a conversation with my other family members and I'm not trying to get stuck here, but we have to hold her family accountable. And I know she was an addict, but the same way Wells Fargo put a hold on her money, their love should have put a hold on her freedom, and she should have stayed in that home where she was being and maintaining her sobriety, as opposed to being out here on the street like she doesn't have a condition. And
No,
so
I agree with you. It sounds great. The
I
only issue is, in reality, with her celebrity, there are legal ramifications, and her family, unfortunately, are not in a position to veto that. This could potentially be a very lengthy court process if they even
Mhm.
decide
I
to
totally
petition
agree.
that. But
And I
I will
and
be
I
honest with you. At this point, it's almost as if we're already mourning a person that is still alive. The Wendy that you and I know, she is gone. This is but a vessel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I hate to say it that way, but her condition is not one that will be reversed, and that's a reality that I'm sure that her family is
If
considering
that's
as
her
well.
condition, you know what I mean? I mean, we get headlines, and I know it's been confirmed so much, but I mean, I obviously saw the signs.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the tactic. It really felt, bad on especially Lifetime's behalf that they would even air something like that, because it was disturbing to me. It
Well,
was sad.
speaking of audacity, Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, is actually accusing her sister and the production company of stealing up to $15 million from Wendy Williams prior to her current state, and states that there's a lot of blood on a lot of people's hands. And I just thought that was very
Including
ironic.
yours.
Yeah,
Include.
primarily him. Um,
Mhm.
yes, he was married to this woman for close to 30 years, if not
Mm.
more,
Mm-mm-mm.
but understanding how she got to where she was, or where she is rather, in the beginning phases that kind of triggered this snowball effect of mishappenings in her life, I think he should be the last person to have any type of opinion
Mhm.
on anything to do with not just her family, but her friends, anyone else surrounding her. He was the closest thing to her, and you see how he
Mhm.
did her. But yeah, now he wants to speak out. So, Kevin, get your life. Honey, I know that was heavy. I think that as a community, we're going to be speaking on Wendy for a while, just because the effects of watching that documentary.
It's sad. It was so sad, it's really sad. And I just want to send prayers out to Wendy because, this, I honestly turned it off after the first one. And then I tried to start the second one and couldn't finish it because it was really sad,
I had to
for
finish
her.
it. We're going to get into some other hot topics, but before we do that, I do want to make a note of probably the most devastating scene for me in the entire two-part documentary, and that was Wendy's visit from Angela, formerly known as Black China. There was something so sweet and
They
so
were in sync.
genuine
Hmm.
about that exchange. And I just hope that through Wendy's illness, she was able to actually feel the love, not just
Hmm.
of Black China, but of her son and of her dad and her brother and her sister and her niece and all of the people that really love and miss her. So we'll be keeping her in our prayers.
Absolutely.